People do arroz con leche differently, and it's going to depend a lot on where you're from. So if you're from Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, there is a certain way. A lot of times they would use, cocoa, like crema de coco or coconut milk. So that is a little bit of a difference there. If you're from Colombia, you would probably use a different type of rice. In addition to that, a lot of times you would have like either water-soaked raisins if it's for kids, or you would have either rum or brandy-soaked raisins. In Mexico, a lot of times people use whole milk, and they would use that milk to make it kind of more watery and nice, like drink as well. So very, very good there as well. And also maybe some almendras, which are almonds. So it really depends on where you're from. I think everybody and their mama makes this differently. This is my recipe. Okay, so for me, I'm going to use 2 cups of long grain rice. Now the first thing I'm going to do is put my rice in a bath, and this is going to be in here for an hour. Now, a lot of people skip this step, and to me, rice is really dirty. So I like to make sure that my rice is very clean. I'm going to leave this in here for an hour. This is hot water, and it's just going to get nice and clean. I'm not trying to cook it or anything. I just want it to be clean rice. I'm going to use 2 cans or 2 latas de leche condensada. I prefer to use la lechera. That is just one that I've used forever, and I think it is a very sweet tasting condensed milk. So I'm going to use that, and a lot of people would probably just use 1 lata or 1 can. I prefer to use 2, and I'm not using any other sugar. In addition to that, I'm going to use 2 cans of evaporated milk, so 2 latas de leche evaporada. I use the Carnation. You can use any one that you want. It really depends. I will end up using a tablespoon of vanilla extract. So una cuchara de vainilla. Apart from that, I'm going to use a few sticks of cinnamon, probably 4. So voy a usar 4 palos de canela. Now, it really depends on personal preference. Since we're not using sugar, if you want to use some cinnamon sugar, you can use cinnamon sugar. I prefer not to use cinnamon sugar. I have used it before. I'm just not going to because I'm putting so much la lechera. So, puedes usar ese azúcar con canela si quieres, como no estamos usando azúcar. Pero como estamos usando mucha la lechera, no es necesario usar azúcar también. Alright, so for me, I'm just going to use this cinnamon, and it really depends on the flavor that you like. I will use 2 tablespoons when I'm cooking it. So para mí, yo solamente voy a usar 2 cucharas de esta canela. Y además, cuando acabe, puedes ponerlo encima también. Se mira bonito. So I also said that you can put it on top in the end because it looks very pretty. You will also need some water. So right now, I'm just going to turn this off. I'm going to let this sit for about an hour, and then I will come back. So it has been an hour, and right now what I'm going to do is show you how this rice looks. This is why it's important to clean your rice. So the first thing you want to do is wash your hands, or if you're making this for other people, put on gloves at this point, okay guys? So here we go. This is for my home, so my kids don't think my clean hands are dirty. So as we see here, this rice is extremely clean. And if you see this water, it's just really gross, guys. It's very important that we clean our rice. And then what I'm going to do is use a mesh strainer. I'm going to pull out all of the rice, and I'm just going to rinse it with cold water to get off the remaining film or anything from the actual rice where it was dirty before. So what I am doing at this point is I have brought a pretty nice pan over. I have the heat pretty high, and I put in 4 sticks of cinnamon. So I'm wanting this to start to boil prior to bringing in my rice. Now the rice obviously is clean. And once I get in the rice, I'll show you how I'm going to reduce heat and actually cook the rice about 80%. So we don't want it 100% cooked. Another thing you're going to need is a very tight fitting pan, or lid, I guess you would say. Ok, lo que estoy haciendo ahorita es que yo puse 4 copas de agua. And again, guys, sorry, it's 4 cups of water that I'm putting. Typically, you're just going to put enough water to cover this. However, since I'm going to be reducing it, I'm going to just put in 4 cups. Ok, so eché 4 copas de agua. Y además, yo eché 4 palitos de canela. So, puse el fuego en fuego alto. Voy a dejar que eso empiece a hervir. Cuando empiece a hervir, yo voy a poner todo el arroz. Está bien limpia. Voy a poner el arroz y voy a empezar a cocinar el arroz. No quiero cocinar el arroz 100%, sino como 80-90%. También necesita el lid. Ok, ahorita regreso. See here that the water is starting to boil. Your kitchen probably is starting to smell pretty good. So carefully go ahead and add your rice. Now there's going to be some rice left in. I'll scoop that out off camera. I only have one hand though, so. What we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and stir the rice. Now as you see, there is not a lot of water covering the actual rice, which is good. You don't want to completely just have so much water to where you're not going to be able to cook the rice properly. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead, leave this high heat just for a moment. We're going to cover it. I'm going to let it boil for probably just 1 minute. Ok, como estaba diciendo, lo que yo hice es que yo puse toda la arroz ahí. Se queda un poquito porque estaba mojadito, so voy a meter eso ahí. Vamos a dejar que eso hierve por como 1 minuto. No queremos quemar el arroz. So vamos a estar pendiente de eso. So ahorita regreso. Okay guys, so what we're going to do right now is go from high to low. Alright? We are going to open up our rice. We're going to stir oh, this smells so good. We're going to stir our rice. I do not want it to burn. Okay, I'm going to cover this for another 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes pass, I'm going to come back. I'm going to stir it again. Then I'm going to leave it alone. I'll open the top and leave it alone for 10 minutes. Okay, so lo que yo hice es que yo no apagué el fuego, pero lo bajé a low. Tenía que mover el arroz porque no quiero que se queme. Tapé el arroz. Voy a dejarlo cocinar por como 2 minutitos. Y luego voy a regresar, mover el arroz de nuevo. Y voy a dejarlo abierto por como 10 minutos. Y después lo vamos a chequear. It's been about 2 minutes. The rice is boiling just a little bit. It's really not boiling much. You do see some little holes right there. So you're wanting to move that. Having a good pan really, really helps, guys. So at this point, what needs to happen is we need to leave this rice alone. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Leave it open just a little bitty bit. Now I'm going to leave it for 10 minutes. I'm not going to bother the rice. Ok, ya ha pasado como 2 minutitos. Ya regresé para moverse a arroz. Lo que vamos a hacer ahorita es no estorbar el arroz. Vamos a dejarlo cocinar por como 10 minutos. Y lo dejé un poquito arriba, abierto aquí. Alright, ahorita regreso. I'm back. My timer has been set for 10 minutes. Let's see how accurate that was. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Just going to move this right here. As you see, nothing is stuck or burned. Very nice creamy rice. It's the consistency you're going to want. You don't want it to be completely cooked. You still want it to be rather creamy here. It has absorbed almost all of the water though, so we're just going to leave this on right now while I get everything else ready to come over. Okay, so this will be on for about another minute while I bring over all the cans of milk. Ok, so yo ya regresé, lo dejé ahí por 10 minutos. Exacto, 10 minutos. Regresé y tú ves cómo se quedó. No está completamente cocido, pero está ahí. Ve también que no está quemado para abajito. Nunca quiere que se queme el arroz. Voy a dejarlo aquí por como 2 minutitos mientras yo regreso con toda la lata de leche. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and just pour in my condensed milk. Okay. Probably should have opened that a little bit more. Okay, and I am going to give this a nice stir. This whole time it is still on low heat. Now I prefer to let it sit for about a minute or so with just the condensed milk. This is optional, that's just how I do it. Nice stir there. I want to make sure everything is very well absorbed. And I'll be back with the other ingredients. Okay, so yo solamente puse toda la leche condensada, perdón, evaporada ahí. Lo mezclé bien y voy a dejarlo por como 1 minuto y luego voy a regresar con todos los otros. ¿Qué voy a poner? Tú vas a ver. So voy a regresar en 1 minutito. Okay, so it's been about a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and move my milk here. Now, if you want a creamier or more liquidy arroz con leche, what you can do is put about a cup of milk in here. I'm not going to do it, but if you want to, you absolutely can. So the next thing that we're going to do is put in our sweetened condensed milk, so la lechera. This right here takes a while. It's very thick. It's very sticky. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in here. You're going to have to end up scraping the can too. I am using 2 cans of this. Alright, so lo que estaba diciendo que si quiere echar leche, puede poner leche también. Yo no voy a poner extra leche. Yo puse la leche evaporada y también estoy poniendo esto. Vas a poner las 2 latas de la lechera. Va a ser bien dulce. Voy a tener que sacar todo eso. Está un poco difícil. So voy a hacer eso después. Pero ahí vas a poner las 2 latas de la lechera. Ahorita regreso. Okay, so I had to scrape out all of that milk. It's very hard to get it out at times. So what I'm going to do now is use 1 tablespoon of cinnamon and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I always just put in the dry first, but it's just a personal preference. Okay, so lo que voy a hacer ahorita es voy a poner la canela. 2 llenitas, okay? Y además voy a poner una de vainilla. Y después voy a mezclarlo bien. Okay, so this is how it looks so far. Now it's time to stir. And you can already tell, well, you can't tell, but I can tell it's already thick. And that is from the condensed milk. If you want to add less cinnamon, you can do so. I love a lot of cinnamon. So does my family. Now, if I was doing this for a party, I would probably just put 1 tablespoon of cinnamon so it's not overpowering. And it's all going to be your personal preference, guys. This is what I like, and that's how I'm doing it. I would probably recommend, if you're new to this and you're not a huge cinnamon fan, just using 1. Some people don't use any at all. They just sprinkle it on the outside of the beverage for looks. Ok, como yo estaba diciendo que no tiene que echar tanta canela, mi familia, mis hijos y yo, le gustamos mucho la canela. So yo siempre pongo muchito. Eso ni es una palabra. Pero pues, yo estoy inventando palabras hoy. So, yo puse toda la canela ahí, la vainilla, y estoy mezclando todo bien. Después de mezclarlo, voy a cocinar esto por unos 5 minutos y luego voy a regresar y moverlo de nuevo. Alright guys, so now that this is mixed, I'm going to top this up and I'm going to cook it for another 5 minutes and then I'll come back and stir. Has been about 5 minutes. I am back to stir the rice. I wish you guys could smell this house right now, because it is everything. Seriously. Just look at the rice. Going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. We're still going to leave the sticks of cinnamon in here for now because we're still cooking. And they just bring more cinnamon flavor, as if I didn't have enough cinnamon for the day. Oops. But you can never have enough cinnamon. Ok, so ya ha pasado como 5 minutos. Ya regresé aquí para moverse a arroz. Huele bien, bien rico. Voy a dejar todos los palitos ahí adentro por el momento. Voy a volver a tapar esto. Voy a cocinarlo por otros 10 minutos sin moverlo. Okay guys, I'm going to leave this to cook for another 5 minutes and I'm not going to bother it. Well, my rice is over, done, prepared. I left the house for about 2 hours, came back. This is the consistency. It is a very thick and creamy arroz con leche. I prefer for it to be this way. If you do not want it to be creamy and thick, what you can do is not use the sweetened condensed milk. You can use just 1 actual can instead of 2. In addition, you can use some whole milk as well, as opposed to using more of the actual sweetened condensed milk. And you can just keep pouring milk if you want to get it to the actual consistency that you want it. This is my preferred consistency, my family's. This is how I love it. It is just so creamy and thick. Very strong cinnamon flavor, which is awesome this time of the year. In addition to that, it is super sweet simply because I use 2 cans of the sweetened condensed milk. So you don't have to use 2 cans, you can just use 1 if you do not want it to be sweet. Do not put any sugar in this because, yeah, it's just too sweet. Okay, so when you serve it, you can serve it any way you want. You can serve it hot or cold. I prefer for it to be cold. Sprinkle just a little bit of cinnamon on top, put a little stick in there, make it very pretty. Serve it whichever way you want. So that is it, guys. Very easy to do. Hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, en español, yo salí de la casa por como 2 horas, lo dejé ahí y está completamente cocido. Puede ver que está un poco más grueso. A mí me gusta así. Me gusta que sea muy creamy, thick. No me gusta que sea bien aguado. So, lo dejé ahí por como 2 horas. Puede ponerlo frío o servirlo cuando está calentito. A mí me gusta cuando esté frío. So, lo vas a poner en un bol o una copita o como tú quieres y poner un poquito, echar un poquito de canela encima. Puede poner un palito. Eso solamente es para que se mira bien bonito, no para nada más. So, ok, guys, eso es todo. Espero que hayan gustado. O también, si quiere que sea más aguado, no tiene que usar 2 latas de leche condensada. Puede usar solamente una lata y también solo leche regular. Y ahí va a ser un poco más aguado. A mí no me gusta así, a mí me gusta que sea bien cremoso así. So, eso me gustó. Espero que hayan gustado y happy holidays, everybody. Bye, guys.